Along with the sepsis simulation focus, we also want to spend some time discussing teamwork in the emergency department. When I was a second year emergency medicine resident, I had a 1 month rotation in one of the busiest trauma centers in the nation to increase my exposure. My role was to run the trauma resuscitations. At my disposal was an all star staff. I had a trauma attending who oversaw cases, but mostly was in the operating room. I also had seasoned nursing staff, an anesthesiology team that swooped in and managed the airway. I had any subspecialty I wanted at my disposal, and they arrived immediately. This was heaven, or so I thought. These were stressful, high risk cases. I ran most of these complicated resuscitations with a team who, despite being very capable and skilled, I had no idea who they were and they had no idea who I was. It was a rotating door of staff members. This became ever so present on one of my first cases where a clearly intoxicated man came in by ambulance after being pedestrian struck by a motor vehicle. He had some superficial bruises and no evidence of a head injury. Nevertheless, the anesthesia team came down and began to start intubating. I don't think he needs to be intubated, I told the anesthesia resident, as I was the leader of the team. However, I was soon ignored and my voice was drowned out by the chaos. Labs were being drawn, clothes were being cut, multiple rotating residents scavenged around the patient trying to play a role. The patient ended up being discharged that evening after we extubated him for alcohol intoxication and a negative evaluation. It was clear to me from the onset that this patient did not need to be intubated, but after my initial comment I bit my tongue. Who was I? I was a second year visiting emergency medicine resident, and the entire anesthesia team was there. None of the other staff members were objecting either. I continued to observe and attempt to direct the chaos that continued to ensue. How was such a preventable mistake made despite having such a stellar team? And while this may be an extreme example, have you ever been involved in a chaotic resuscitation where open communication could have easily prevented an unnecessary harm? It's a chilling reality that preventable medical errors persist as the number 3 killer in the United States, third only to heart disease and cancer, claiming 400,000 people each year. Fortunately, my patient did not suffer much harm from this unnecessary intervention. Deficiencies in communication and teamwork have long been cited as a frequent contributor to adverse events. Precise estimates of the extent of the problem are difficult to make, given issues that we have in reporting and measuring these problems. Effective teams decrease length of stay, result in fewer admissions, improve coordination of care, decrease wait times, increase patient satisfaction, and improve health outcomes. If there was a medication or some sort of pill that did all of this, we would have learned about it the first day of medical school. But where was our training on teamwork? I don't know about you, but I certainly didn't have it. Healthcare is a team sport, although it was not always recognized as such. In the past, people were cared for by that one all-knowing doctor who lived in the community, visited your home, and was able to attend to the needs at any time of day or night. However, healthcare has dramatically changed. The incorporation of multiple perspectives in healthcare offers the benefit of diverse knowledge and experience. However, in practice, shared responsibility without high-quality teamwork can be fraught with peril. Just an example of this is just handoffs. There are some key elements we want to discuss that have been studied and demonstrated in highly effective teams. These 3 are purpose, being open, and having roles and skills. In regards to purpose, having a common purpose that all team members can articulate is fundamental. It could be diagnosing what's going on with Johnny or trying to resuscitate Mrs. Adams. Teams need to involve all members in purpose development. Everyone should be able to articulate the team's purpose and be committed to it. Now, purposes can pivot and change, and effective teams understand that this can happen. If we shortly find out that Mrs. Adams, who we are about to intubate, was a DNR, DNI, and wanted palliative care, as a team, our goals should align with what the patient's now known wishes are. In regards to being open, we think of openness as encompassing excellent communication, including the ability to say, I don't know, or I don't agree. Underlying all of this is mutual respect. Poor team communication can result in incomplete or inaccurate information being exchanged. important issues not being resolved, and key members being excluded. Closed-loop communication is one way to address these issues. Originally used in the military and most frequently used in healthcare and code situations, it requires team members to confirm that they heard instructions correctly and enables all members to be aware of what is happening. Members of an open team feel safe enough to speak up and raise additional or contrary opinions, or declare their areas of uncertainty or ignorance, with the knowledge that their concerns will be listened to carefully. Leaders can promote an open team by posing thoughtful questions to the group and by declaring their own risk of making errors in judgment. To have a high degree of engagement, a team must function with mutual respect at all times. Roles and skills. Team members need to know who is on the team and what they each can contribute in terms of skills and knowledge. The team leader should be very clear. Each team member must understand his or her role and those of others on the team. Any tools or resources needed to enable team members to fulfill their roles must be provided. If there is a limitation in resources, this should also be openly discussed. With the case during my trauma resuscitation, I often think about the analogy of blind men and the elephant. The anesthesiologist came in and focused on the airway, ignoring the entire patient and the need for intubation. The residents were focused on ATLS, the ABCs, the FAST exam, getting bloods, IVs, and sending to the CT scan. Everyone was working at a furious pace, one person on each leg, one at the trunk, one at the tail, but no team dynamic, and it was the patient that suffered. We have an all-star team here in White Plains, caring physicians, seasoned nurses, energetic staff, but we also have no background in team training, and oftentimes we are placed in situations when an emergent patient arrives and we are not fully familiar with who is in the room and what our roles may be. If we see some action going on, we may feel uncomfortable voicing our opinions. Perhaps we do not feel comfortable, as I did, saying, "I don't feel comfortable with this," or "I don't know." Hopefully we can break some of these habits through improved team dynamics. We at the Simulation Lab hope to review some of these team building exercises in the fast-paced sessions that we will hold in the next few months. We hope that you find these sessions challenging, exciting, and engaging. It is an opportunity to spend time with our staff outside the department, work together as a team, and review how we can improve our dynamics in the emergency department. By practicing, performing, and reviewing our actions in detail, hopefully we can continue to improve our care and become even more exceptional every day. We look forward to seeing you in the lab soon.
That tonight's gonna be a good night. That tonight's gonna be a